Alrighty, good morning everybody. It is Monday, September 30th, 2024, last day of the month. Let's go ahead and jump back and take a look at what happened here on Friday. So we were talking about, good morning guys. Just remember what we were talking about on Friday is there were a lot of clues that the market was potentially going to be pulling back from our very target up at 58.30, right? That's exactly where I warned you guys could be a trouble spot if the bulls do break out to push to new all-time highs. Sure enough, they failed 2 ticks in front of the actual level, which was 30.75. I guess 3 ticks. And we had a lot of higher time frame clues that the market, it made sense for the market to pull back. So that was back on Thursday. On Friday, we saw that price came up, could not even get anywhere close to the high of the day before, which was the new all-time high on the S&P 500 futures up there at 58.30, and then had a little sell-off. It wasn't nothing crazy, but the overall trend after that first attempt to push up was obviously bearish, right? So let's take a look and see what happened here out of the open. Again, the market was recovering right off of our 50% of the day before and our roadmap level, and was trying to push higher. So as we came into the open, there were some bullish plays you could have tried. First being that first tag of the 200, which only gave you maybe about a 5-point scalp, right? And then from there, failed back lower. And then you had your second long attempt, which was the VWAP. And, regardless of either one, you did make some money off the 200 there with zero risk. If you zoom in and look, didn't go not even a tick through it, right? And we see this nearly every day. So beautiful zero risk trade. And then here you see basically a two ticks of risk, and you definitely could have grabbed yourself a nice 10 points from there, right? So some decent opportunities for the bulls coming out of the open, again in this little micro bullish trend, bouncing back off of, if we go all the way back off of 50% of Thursday going into Friday. So there was somewhat of a bullish tinge to things as we were trying to come all the way back up to test the all-time high. So there were some good longs, and then there was even one last tag right there to the tick, no risk, and you got yourself, again, another 10 points to the upside. This one ended up going a little bit more than that. And you did have some very discrete holds off the 200 in all these other instances. So there were good long opportunities, but then everything started to fade. And once we got back through VWAP there, should have started to look clear as we started to fail through some of these areas. Now, on the way down, as you can see, it did kind of step down the roadmap levels. We held the 200. There's the first tag of the 200 after the crossover. We weren't below VWAP, but that was the first tag of the 200 after the crossover. There was one tick away from the 200. And then as it fell down below 50% of the previous day, what do you know? It comes back, gives it a nice little kiss. So there were plenty of short opportunities on the way down. You could have even tried the back end of VWAP here in the very short time frame sense, just as it got through, and you had yourself maybe a point of risk, and you could have grabbed a pretty decent sell-off. Now, if you miss the first tag of 50% of the previous day and the close of the day before, you got another opportunity, and it was actually a pretty sexy setup because we had a nice clean bearish divergence as we were testing that area, right? So great opportunity to try a short in there. And then from there, another great opportunity here right off the fast moving average as it was selling off. Of course, it had to come and test 50% of the previous day for a third time, throwing a curveball at everybody who was probably short from over here. Came all the way right back up, tagged it again. There's another clear major bearish divergence off that high, and I'm sure we would have seen it on a higher time frame chart, 3-minute chart. And then from there, you had the opportunity to try the back end of the 200 or the Hopel as it was selling off if you missed the 50% area. And then what do you know, my friends? Our roadmap level to the tick was the low of the day. So if you were shorting from up here and you had your runners on, you should have been able to take profit all the way down just in front of that area. Like I tell you, you never know if they're going to bounce a couple ticks, a point in front. So getting short and taking profit right there, you would have nailed the low of the day, right? So an attempt to rally up off of that 57.82 roadmap level, and then just didn't have enough strength to get much past the VWAP again there, seeing the trouble right at the Hopel. So that was how Friday went there. The last hour, the extended trading hour there, nothing too exciting here, right? It just kind of pulled back, and that was it. So that brings us here into Monday morning, September 30th. And what do you know? We are holding 50% of the previous day once again with a couple ticks of risk. I mean, I just feel like every morning I'm just saying the same things over and over again. So you've got a nice clean bearish divergence off 50% of the previous day. And from there, you get your pullback. It holds the back end of the fast moving average on the way down. You could even argue back end of VWAP there is just maybe a point and a half through it, and then came right down into 50% of last week, right? So got a hold there, and the previous daily close was kind of the best spot there in the overnight here to find a long with a nice bullish divergence. Came up, and now as you can see, it was choppy through the overnight session, but the trend here is it's holding below VWAP, right? And as you can see here, as we get closer to the open, it's been holding the back end of the 200 here with maybe one tick of heat on that. And now here we are coming close to the open, and we are pushing to a lower low for the overnight session and testing up into the low of Friday. So that's our review for Friday of last week into the open this morning. As you can see, some really, really great opportunities with very limited risk, and even so in the overnight session last night. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump up to the higher time frames and see what they have to say for this morning.